Yes. Oh. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for coming to this press conference. Thanks all the media fellows. And thank you thanks to the FCCT people who helped me, facilitate me the place. Actually, I have to first apologize, FCCT. I called some of the people here, telling them that there'll be a special event here. I didn't tell them in advance, at first, that I was going to be here, because I don't want too many people to know about this. And when it is closer, I told them. I don't even know their names, but I told them that I am going to be here at 2 o'clock. Thank you for not canceling this once they know that I'm going to be here. So what I'm going to do is, I wrote a statement, and I'm going to read the statement first. And after that, I'll be happy to answer all the questions. I think I should be here no longer than 1.5 hours, so about 3:30. I think it should be done. If there is going to be a one-to-one interview, exclusive interview, I'll see if I have enough time, I will also have to see whether or not at the time I will be arrested or not yet. So this is what I'm going to do. The statement I wrote actually originally was in Thai, and I have some of my friends help translate into English. There was some correction that I did on my own, because there was some words that should not be used, like surrender. So I have to change that, because this is not a surrendering. So I'm going to tell you my opinion about what's going on, about the coup, since there's something related to me, something affects me, I am going to tell you what I think, what I'm going to do, and so on. That's basically. I am a slow reader. I have to. I recently have been in UNESCO executive meeting, and I had to give a speech. Over there, they have a time limit: 6 minutes, 10 minutes, 4 minutes, and then they have to ring the bell. So my staff decided to help me by writing a shorter paper instead of having me speaking very fast. So I still have a habit of reading rather slow. Forgive me for that. There'll be a Thai version that be distributed to Thai media when they come, because probably now they have already known. Some of them have already known. Most of them probably have known by now. Dear fellow citizens who are for democracy, those who have an interest, members of the Thai and foreign press. As we are all aware that there has been a coup d'etat, and then there have also been something involved me before and after the coup. I would like to clarify to the public as follows. Sorry. My views about the coup d'etat. During the past several decades, I have voiced my opinions opposing coup d'etat all along. And during those decades, I have said that no matter how serious the problems confronting the country are, coup d'etat will not be the solution, but will, on the other hand, worsen the problems. When this coup d'etat happened, I still hold the same view and have voiced my dissent with the coup. I would like to stress here that coup d'etat is in itself an abrogation of democracy. Therefore, it cannot possibly create rules that will improve democracy. On the other hand, it will make those rules that are undemocratic even more undemocratic. Coup d'etat is not a solution to the problems or conflicts in Thai society, but will make the conflicts even worse. It is also a great concern that if those with authority cannot handle the problems well, it may lead to violence and greater losses. Coup d'etat is an undemocratic process that the majority of the world and Thais do not accept, and it will have a negative impact on the country's image and to international cooperation with other countries, thus aggravating the country's own economic problems. As for the excuse that there had been many conflicts in Thai society together with violence and great losses, that the military leaders had to declare martial law and stage a coup d'etat. The military leaders, in fact, could have chosen other alternative from the very beginning. That was to cooperate with the government in law enforcement with equal justice to all parties. If they chose to do that, the situation would not have been worsened and turned to be an excuse for staging a coup. The reasons I have not reported to the NCPO. I have explained to the press that as I did not accept the coup, I could not report to those who staged it. In addition, I'd like to add that I've been of this view, which I also expressed to several cabinet members and to the public, that the declaration of martial law was against the Constitution and against the Martial Law Act itself, since there had never been a royal proclamation. As for the coup, prior to the royal proclamation, appointing General Prayut as head of NCPO, it could not be claimed that the coup had not been accomplished. All acts by General Prayut and his colleagues in taking power are therefore against the Section 68 of the Constitution. All the orders by the NCPO prior to the royal proclamation to appoint the head of the NCPO will therefore not be legitimate. This will be easily seen by the fact that there will soon be an amnesty for all the acts of the NCPO prior to the royal proclamation of the head of NCPO. Let me add to this from my own experience a little bit. Actually, some of the reasons that I haven't reported I do not report to the NCPO is it's against my conscience, and I'm not used to it. I'm not used to it because I've been through several coups d'états in Thailand. As a student activist, as a member of parliament, and as a minister. None of the coup makers had ordered me to report to them before. So I'm not used to this kind of reporting. And in the past, there was some incident that took place when some military announced that they have already staged a coup. They order a lot of people to report to them. But without royal proclamation, after some days, a few days, they lost. The coup failed. And the people who reported to them or cooperated with them were put in jail. I have this experience. I remember this. General Prayut and his fellows probably didn't know about this kind of thing because he was very young at the time. Probably he is 1 year older than me. He was very young at the time. I was also very young at the time, but I was involved in politics then. So I have all this memory. There's a very good reason for not reporting to the coup makers. So continue back to my statement. Okay, let me read, even though it's repetition. In the past, when there had been attempted coups followed by orders of various people to report to them, they had no royal proclamation appointing those coup leaders in power. They would turn out to be rebels. And as a consequence, those who reported to them, cooperated with them, would also be found guilty. From the past experience and these rules of law, I therefore decided not to report to NCPO. I have also made it very clear that I had no intention to escape, to resist, or to go underground to fight, but would be ready to be arrested when the time is right. What to do next? I still insist to use my all rights and liberty to call for returning the country to democracy by first calling for the NCPO to return the power to people and to hold election under a democratic rule at the earliest possible. All my actions will be by peaceful means and in accordance with Section 2 of the Constitution. That means this country will be under democracy with the king as the head of the state. And underlined, democracy. With Section 2 of the Constitution and the rules of law that are just. The next topic is willing to be arrested. I have said that I would be ready for the NCPO to take me or arrest me at the right time. As now there had been a royal proclamation appointing the head of the NCPO, despite the fact that I still do not agree with the coup. But I am aware that the NCPO has now the power according to the Thai law in several matters, and therefore am ready to be arrested by the NCPO for further actions as appropriate. I have chosen to express my opinions according to the principle of civil disobedience, and therefore am ready to face whatever consequence according to the law. If I am to be prosecuted, I will be ready to fight according to my given rights, as I understand that there will be many cases to be prosecuted. I would like to suggest that those cases against people of different political beliefs not be under court-martial, military court, or whatever, but under normal courts of justice. Should be called martial court, right? My appeal to NCPO. Number one, return the power to the people as soon as possible. Hold election under democratic rule at the earliest. Number two, please avoid using violence against the people and no suppression of the people. No discrimination in applying the law so as to avoid violence in society, and should allow the people to demonstrate their opinions and call for democracy by peaceful means, which will be the most important conditions to avoid conflicts and violence. This will be better than to push them away to fight by other means. 3, try to promote the search for knowledge and experience in order for our society to reach for peaceful coexistence despite different in opinions. This is one of the fundamental problems of the Thai society, and violence is not a solution. 4, release all those detained without any condition at the earliest. 5, if there is a genuine desire for reform, opportunity should be open to all sides as much as possible. Please understand that in the Thai society, there exist a number of different opinions on the Buddhist era 2550 constitution and the reforms that several sides are now advocating. It is therefore never easy to find a conclusion. 6, in your further actions from now on, I hope that you will consider the views of the international community so as to avoid any negative impacts over the economy and the livelihood of the people. My appeal to those who advocate democracy. It is legitimate rights for the people to demonstrate that they are against the coup and any act from the coup. I suggest that any call for democracy be peaceful and taking into account that Thai social conditions that have been in critical conditions for several years. The country's problems have been much accumulated. Over the years, democracy that we had tried to help preserve had gradually diminished until finally losing it by the coup. From now on, what the rules of the government will be like are of different opinions in our society. And it is necessary for those who advocate democracy to help contribute on what the democratic rules should be and how to persuade the majority of the people to accept and to help create them. My appeal to the world community. I would like to thank various governments and international organizations who are concerned about the situation in Thailand and to try to prevent violence against the people, as well as expressing views against martial law and coup d'etat. I would like to thank you for the call to the NCPO to return to democracy and to hold election as early as possible. I hope that this help, according to democratic principles, of civilized countries will continue. Thank you, the member of the press. I would like to thank you for continuously presenting the facts to the public, both inside and outside Thailand. Thank you for presenting. Thank you for presenting this presentation to the public. I would like to reiterate that the facts are essential in solving crisis in every society. Thank you all. Yes, please.
You mentioned that obviously you've been through a number of different coups.
Yeah.
What do you think might happen this time with General Prayut? Do you think
Yes, okay.
given the number of coups that you've been through, do you think that General Prayut will be willing to call elections early, or have you concerns that he may hold on to power for some time?
It seems that General Prayut might want to hold on to power for some time. That's what the ideas has been proposed earlier, that they need some time to clear things up. And probably General Prayut himself, maybe some of his colleagues, has said earlier that there was a mistake of the last coup in 2006. One thing is that the leader of the coup did not become the prime minister, for example. And they said something like they did not take control over the people who resist the coup. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but what has already happened is they have detained too many people, especially those people who are going to resist the coup and will advocate to democracy, which is very, very absurd. In the past 6 to 9 months, there was a lot of illegal activities happen, very serious ones. Once there's a coup, instead of taking those people into custody, they are taking people who have done nothing wrong in custody, just because they might resist the coup. If compared to the past coup, I directly experienced the coup in 1976. A lot of students were killed, a lot were arrested, but later on were freed. Some 18 or 20 people were put in jail and sent to military court or martial court for a couple of years. But then what happened after that was a lot of students and people, maybe more than 3,000, left the city to the jungle, including myself. And then there was like a war. There was a lot of casualties for some years, about 3 to 5 years. But after that, the government at the time decided to grant amnesty to all the people involved in the incident of 1976. Later on, granted amnesty to the people who were involved in Communist Act. And then announced a policy that everyone can come back to the society without having to face any trial or punishment. And then the country can resolve the conflict. That's a lesson. To use a harsh measure to oppress people, the consequence will be more conflict, more violence, and more casualties. And the rulers at the time learned. And then they also learned that they have to bring back democracy by reforming the constitution or whatever. Frankly speaking, as of now, I don't know what General Prayut think, but he assigned a lot of soldiers to take care of all of the ministries, to take care of all the administration of this country, the work or the task that they know the least. So we don't know what's going from now. It depends on what they are going to decide, depend on the reaction of people and the reaction from international community.
Hi.
Just a second.
Okay.
Yes.
Samantha Hawley from the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. Thank you very much for your address. Firstly, are you concerned about what sort of treatment you may face once you're detained when you leave here? And secondly, there has been some talk of a government being set up in exile. Do you know anything of that, and is it a possibility?
The treatment, well, people who were detained or have been or are still in detention are not treated so bad. The problem is just we don't know for how long that they're going to be detained, and the way they are treated will be changed or not. Some of the ministers have been detained, have been freed. Some are still detained. But what I'm worried about is the people who want to fight for democracy. There are a lot of them, more than 100, and also the academicians, some professors, lecturers. I don't know what happens to them. I don't know exactly what happened to them and will happen to them in the future. We don't exactly know. You ask what I think about what might happen to me and what the treatment that will happen to me. In my case, it might be different, but I don't know exactly what it's going to be. But I'm not reporting to the NCPO. Am I right? NCPO? NCPO. Originally, it was grammatically wrong written. I'm not reporting. I am going to be arrested. The military had already given an order to probably more than 50 military units, as I saw from the document, to arrest me and Kun Charupong, the Minister of Interior, and myself. And also some other who have not reported and be active in political movement. But there were only two names, Charupong Rangsuwan and me, on that order. They said, arrest me and send me to the martial court. They call it martial court. My English is not very good. Martial court, right? To martial court. I'm not sure if in the martial court they allow the defender to have a lawyer or not. In the past, there was no lawyer. And this is unbelievable. I never thought of this before at all in my life, probably. Some of my friends had to go to martial court some 38 years ago without lawyer. I didn't envy them. At that time I was in the jungle. But I never thought that I would have to be in martial court also. And if I am ruled guilty, the maximum punishment will be 2 years imprisonment and 50,000 Thai baht. And this is really absurd again, because I haven't done anything wrong in all of my political career. I haven't been charged with anything. I haven't been impeached. I haven't been impeached and will not be impeached. I haven't been through any censor debate in the parliament, except I was doing the censor debate against the ministers. I have not done anything. The problem is I have not done one thing, and that is to report to the NCPO. But I believe that all of their orders at the time were illegal and unconstitutional. Why should I do so? And why should I be proven guilty? But as you said, the treatment, we don't know if I'm put in jail. Some of my journalist friends also asked me this question. I said, I don't know exactly what will be like in jail, because I talked to some friends. It happened to be people like Viragran Musikapong and Nattawut Saikur. These two people have a lot of sense of humor. So every time they talk to me about what happened in prison, they make a joke, but we know that they were in trouble. So I don't know exactly what happened. But as I said, I decided to do what they call, especially the people who have been doing the demonstration and rallies with impunity, has often said they did the civil obedience. The principle of civil obedience is that once one decides to do the civil obedience, they have to be ready to be treated by legal measures. So let's do it. Whatever happen. What I'm thinking now is not about my own safety. If I think about my own safety, I can hide for a long time, and I can even go abroad. But I don't have a problem of safety because I have done nothing wrong. So this decision is based on how I can contribute to my country, and that is be in the country, protect my own right to fight for democracy peacefully. If I report to them, I heard that people who report to the NCPO, before they are free, they have to sign some document agreeing not to do something. I don't want to be free with any condition. If you want to put me in jail, then put me in jail. If it's time to come when I am free, I fight for democracy in accordance with rules of law and democratic principle, and of course peaceful means. About the question on government in exile, tell you the truth, I have no idea about this. I have not been in contact with any people about this. I cannot really analyze the possibility of it. So, lady first, or you? Okay. I have analyzed this for some time, some years, that eventually the Constitution will be torn, and the coup will take place. But I also said that if anyone thinks that the coup will stop all the conflict and the turmoil or violence, they would be wrong, because the coup will create more conflict to the society, and there will be more potential for this society to face with violence, especially from oppression, suppression, or even oppression against people. Will there be underground struggle? Well, it depends on whether or not the coup makers allow people to express their opinions, participate in the process of bringing back democracy. Or they would oppress people. If they do not allow participation from people and oppress people, then I believe a lot of people will go underground. The situation now and the situation after the coup in 2006 are quite different. Then nobody thought about there would be a coup. Nobody prepared themselves for the coup, against the coup. But this coup, people have gone through 8 years of fighting for democracy. People have learned in the past 10 or 12 years about the benefit of being under democratic system. Election help improve their life. Also, there's another development after the coup. So step to step, there are democratic movement, and people join them. Millions of people join them. Millions of people support them. But that's still the minority. Millions still minority. But what the majority think? Majorities are voters. The majority of voters also support election and democracy. So the situation is very different. I used to say before the coup to some diplomats, to some journalists, that once there is a coup, there would be resistance right away. It is not a matter of who will organize them or who will order them to do that. Even someone try to stop them, they will not be able to. It has happened in the last few days, much earlier than anybody had thought. It seems to be widespread with a very good reason. And I believe that from now on, there will be more and more resistance. This is a death of life of Thai society. This is a death of life of Thai people in general. Meaning the society will be in a conflicting situation. The society will be in a worse economic situation. And that will affect everyone in the society. If we let these coup makers go on with their administration or whatever they do as they like, there will be disaster. It will be a disaster for this society. Yes, please.
Richard Cockett of The Economist. Two questions. First of all, have you talked to Yingluck Shinawatra over the past week or know anything of her whereabouts, how she's been treated or what she is doing at the moment? Secondly, what are your views of Mr. Sutek and the PDRC at the moment? It seems to me, judging by the purge of you and Gurtai supporters going on, that this coup is giving them about 95% of what they wanted all along. So would you see this coup as basically an endorsement of the PDRC and Mr. Sutek? In photos that were circulating yesterday, they looked extremely pleased with themselves, unlike you and your colleagues.
I haven't been in touch with Prime Minister Yingluck since she was removed by the the Constitution Court. And the news about her, her situation is still not very clear to me. I don't know what exactly is happening to her. I cannot find the information even through some of the people who are close to her, but are not with her anymore. This coup is just what Suthep and his allies, his followers, wanted to happen in the first place. What they wanted is a coup. They knew it all along, and they wanted it all along. Why did they use the street movements with impunity? Seize a lot of government offices, including government house, do a lot of other things that are all illegal. Even rebel, even announce that to overthrow the government, to set his own government, and so on. That's to create a situation where the government cannot control and create a government which is so-called lawless situation. They hoped that there would be violence. They wanted to provoke violence and bloodshed so that the military could come in. In the meantime, Suthep and his followers work closely with independent agencies and Constitution Court to overthrow the government and to create the situation where it is called political vacuum, so that they can use Article 7 of the Constitution and appointed a so-called neutral prime minister, a neutral government. But the Constitution Court found that it's beyond their capability because the Constitution did not allow them to do so. So eventually, what these people want is not only to overthrow the government. They have already done that. What they really want is the so-called reform before election. But the reform is not a reform. It's an abrogation of the Constitution, of the democracy, and it's the plan to redesign the system of this country so that it will guarantee that the parties that they don't like will not be able to become or form a government, even though they gained the majority vote. So it's 55% of what they want or not. Maybe it can be 100%, or maybe in the near future when there's more resistance, when other people also voice, it will reduce 80, 70, we don't know exactly. Yes? I don't have people to help me. Yes, please.
Is there any discussion among the ousted members of government of going to Cambodia and setting up a government in exile?
I have not heard anything about government in exile. Most of the cabinet members, the ministers, have been detained. Only very few have been freed. And only two people who have not reported to the NCPO, Kun Chaturon and me. We haven't been in touch to each other. We have not contacted each other.
Mr. Chaturon, do you know exactly why you've been targeted, or could you elaborate on why you've been summoned? And then do you have a message for Prayut, if you could say something to him?
Why have I been what?
Could you elaborate on exactly why you've been targeted?
Targeted. I believe that in the first place, when they stage a coup, they wanted everything to be under control. They want to show to the public or people involved that they could take control over everything. So they want all the ministers to be detained, and including others. I deny to report myself. That's one thing, but that shouldn't. A lot of people have not reported themselves either, but the council is not interested in. Maybe because I'm a minister, but they might have thought that Chaturon and I are a leader of the movement, or are going to be a leader of the movement. There are some rumors about government in exile. That's maybe one thing, but they can check. They should have a good intelligence. One thing that can tell that they might be afraid that I might be a leader or might be trying to mobilize people is that they gave an order to all the financial institutions and banks in Thailand to stop all the financial activities of Kun Chaturon and myself. So that means they probably think that I have a lot of money and will spend a lot of money for the mobilization. And if they check at my financial activity at the banks and international institutions, they will find that the only financial activities that have been done in the past 9 months, before that there was nothing. But in the past 9 months is I put my salary into an account, and then I have an ATM card. So if they check, they'll find that I still have some money left in my banking account and nothing else. So if they really check, they should come to me and say, I have to apologize. We misunderstood because you have nothing done with anything. You are not using any money, and actually I have very little amount of money in my banking account. Yeah.
And do you have a message for Prayut, or is there something you would like to say to him?
I have no message from him. No message
For him.
For him. I already said in my statement. I think if I'm going to say to General Prayut, I have been criticizing him and sometimes appraise him sometimes, admire him sometimes when he said, especially when he said he wouldn't stage a coup, and a coup is going to bring disaster to this country, then I admire him. He said he would be neutral, and I also admire him. But when he said he might step in, or he might do something, use harsh measure or something like that, or criticize government or democratic people, I came out to criticize him. General Prayut is probably rather emotional per person. I mean, he's not very stable, or sometimes he will get very angry, sometimes he seems to be very nice. I don't know exactly what he really thought when he staged a coup. But I don't think he would be so happy. He said he want to be he don't want to be in trouble before he retired. The only day that he said something differently is when he declared a martial law, and then he said to a meeting that he might stay longer than the time that he retired. That's some kind of a clue. I just want to warn General Prayut that harsh measures do not help. to be biased against one group of people, one side of people, is not helpful. It's not going to help. To be biased for only one side of the society will only hurt this country, will only damage this country. And if you really want to resolve the problem of the country, don't be oppressive. Allow people to participate in the process. Maybe that's all that I can suggest, General Prayut. Yes.
You have a history with Kun Thaksin. Have you spoken to him since you've been on the land? And if so, what was the nature of your conversation?
I haven't talked to Kun Thaksin since a little bit before the amnesty bill was in the last version of amnesty bill was introduced, or in other words, the third reading of the bill. A bit before that, and after that until now, I haven't spoken to him at all.
Kun Chaturon,
Yes.
have any cabinet members left the country?
I don't think so. They are not allowed to leave the country without permission from the NCPO. Most of them, almost all of them, have been detained. So, as of now, I still don't know if there is any. But I believe that almost everyone, at least almost everyone, is still in the country.
Almost everyone?
At least.
At least almost everyone.
Right.
Maybe some have gone abroad?
Well, when some people are hiding, you don't know where they are. Yes.
Since you're one of the few members of the proposed government who's able to speak out, what would you advise ordinary Thai people, supporters of your government, to do now in response to this? Urge them to take to the streets, especially since there's been threats of violence?
Well, I would say this is not a matter of what to do, what the supporters of the government should do. This is not a matter of a government anymore. I would say that people who advocate to democracy, people who want to see this country a democratic one, should put every effort on trying to bring democracy back to this country and democratize this country. The first thing that we should be aware is try to avoid confrontation and violence. Be aware that the military government, the rulers can be more cruel than you might expect. That's firstly for safety. But